Secondly, you have to look at literary evidence. There's the Quran, but it's not a good historical source. Even
Yeah, but also the earliest. Okay, so the Quran is actually makes the situation more complicated because they have found, if you do carbon dating in the Quran to see um, whether it predates back to Muhammad's date, actually, yeah, you have Qurans that is from Muhammad's day, and unfortunately for Muslims, you have Qurans that predates Muhammad's birthday. So that's not good.
even if we can move past the fact that it's a religious book, not a
And none of them. Okay, so here's the thing: the Quran mentions the word Muhammad 4 times. Okay, but only one of those 4 times is clearly referring to the prophet of Arabs. The 3 other times it could be read as an adjective of some, which means the praised one, and it could be referring to anybody. It could be referring to because the competing revisionist theory right now is that this was a Christian text written in Syriac. Without the dialectic marks here, you see these dots and the these a, o, and all that, right? And which was the language of uh, the Christians back then, and because Arabic then at that time was at its infancy, and these dialectic marks was added later, and it was added with an Islamic mindset. So if you remove these dialectic marks and re-add them while reading the Quran in a Syriac format rather than a Arabic format, then you could re-add them, and this whole Quran will look a lot more like a Christian text rather than an Arabic text, rather than an Islamic text. And also, none of the mentions of Muhammad in the Quran, none of the Qurans that were found that you could date to the time of Muhammad had the mention of Muhammad on them, right? So even if you could find parchments of the Quran, they don't prove the existence of Muhammad. Given that it seems like the Quran predates Muhammad as something that was a Christian text, a certain sect of Christianity in around that region at the time, north of what we consider now Saudi Arabia. So this doesn't prove the existence of Muhammad. This might be just showing a a branch of Christianity that didn't consider Jesus to be God, didn't consider Jesus to be the Son of God, that came out of Roman, like it was heretical considered to other Christians that came and influenced the Arabs and at that time, that eventually evolved into Islam, right? This might be that, like, just because you can find the Quran from around that time doesn't prove the existence of Muhammad.
Hey guys, before we get back to that video, YouTube has fully demonetized our channel for supposedly hateful and harmful conduct, without telling us what we did wrong. If we get to 1,000 patrons, we will be able to keep paying all our team, our editors, our artists without ever having to worry about monetization again, which would be amazing. Yay! So please support Atheist Republic on Patreon. Link in the description below.
history book, it still tells us remarkably little about Muhammad. Out of all the characters mentioned in the Quran, Muhammad is one of the ones it talks the least about.
Yeah, so somebody is saying that in the live chat that the text on the Dome of the Rock. Oh yeah, actually this is a very good point. The text on the Dome of the Rock, okay, where was this? Is actually very problematic because you can see that the text inside, right? There are multiple layers to Dome of the Rock. But if you actually look at the text inside, you can see there are supposed to be Quranic verses, but they don't match the Quran. Do you know what I mean? Like they are, you can see, like, okay, this is supposed to be like they are like the Quranic verses inside the Dome of the Rock. But if you pick up the Quran and you'd like try to follow it, you can see like, wait, this is not exactly the same, right? The orders are different. The words are sometimes different. And it actually, instead of being supporting of Islam dating to 691, it is actually damning, because it suggests that in 629 Islam was still evolving, right? Even in the Muhammad in the Dome of the Rock, it's not one of those Muhammads that like clearly refers to the Prophet of Islam. That Muhammad in the Dome of the Rock is still one of those Muhammads that could be just an adjective, the praised one, which could be even referring to Jesus, not even to Muhammad, right? Like even at this time when Muhammad was first time mentioned, this reference at this time might still be Islam in a phase where it's still separating for this Christian mindset. Like it's so here's like, for the people who haven't watched this before. So the competing theory right now, the revisionist theory, which seems to be very likely in my opinion, but I'm not a scholar, so I'm just giving you all sides, and you guys could go do your own research. Is that instead of the common narrative that everybody believed for a long time, that Islam started in Arabia, and then after these Arabs became Muslim, they started coming out of Arabia and invading the surrounding nations, and then they became an empire. The competing narrative right now is that no, these were these were Arabs that came out of that region. They started invading surrounding. They took Jerusalem. They then attacked Byzantine. They took North Africa. They took down the Persian Empire. These two empires were weak because of both pandemics and also years of war between the Persian and the Byzantine Empire. So it was really easy for these nomads to be able to take them down and build an empire. And after they built an empire, they started for branding purposes, they started creating their own unique identity, and a unique identity is branded with a religion. Like if you look at the Persian Empire, their branding was Zoroastrianism. If you look at the Byzantine Empire, their branding was Christianity. These people were a new empire, and they needed a distinct new identity that sets them apart from these other people, and that's why they started Islam. And if you look at, like, for example, the Dome of the Rock, the way, like, this is the birth of Islam, not Kaaba, not Muhammad. This Dome of the Rock, this is the birth of Islam. And it was built right in front, yeah, here it is. You see this other dome? You know what this church is? Is that what that church is? The Church of Holy Sepulchre? How do you say it? You're a Catholic. Church of Holy Sepulchre? I never know how to say it.
I don't know what you're saying.
the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, right? You see that in the Yes, that's how you say it. I think that's it. Yeah, this is it. Is this the dome for the? Yes. I'm so glad that that's actually in the background. Guys, look at this. You see these two domes? This dome was built by Abdul Malik because Jerusalem was the place where all these religions were doing their marketing and branding. This Jerusalem was the center of these Abrahamic branding. You had Christianity and you had Judaism, and they were all branding each other. And now you see a birth of a new religion, which is Islam, and they wanted to do a branding. This is where you were selling your religion, right? This is where Abdul Malik was selling a new religion. And to make sure that the people understand that this is not a joke religion, you need to take this religion seriously. This dome was being built with the like, it looks very, like, if based on archaeologists, this looks a lot very Christian. It has a very Christian design, but it's higher. You see this? And it's bigger. So it was a competition. It was a branding competition that was happening here, right? Anyway.
And they say size doesn't matter.
If you're trying to determine whether or not Muhammad existed. Secondly, you have to look at literary evidence. There's the Quran, but it's not a good historical source. Even if we can move past the fact that it's a religious book, not a history book, it still tells us remarkably little about Muhammad. Out of all the characters mentioned in the Quran, Muhammad is one of the ones it talks the least about. Events from Muhammad's life are referenced but never narrated.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Kali, like me, And that means that you probably want more blasphemous art. Well, I have good news for you. If you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below, then you get a free booklet of some of the tastiest blasphemous art available today. So, if you want some of this delicious blasphemy, and we're so generous that we update it for you guys weekly for free, all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter below. You can also go to blasphemousart.com/ebook. That's blasphemousart.com/ebook. Sign up with your email, and you get free gifts of this tasty blasphemy. What could be better? So make sure you sign up. Link below.